Hi everyone, my name is Michael Herkes and I am known as the Glam Witch. I have been a practicing witch for over 20 years at this point, and I'm the author of several books on witchcraft, including The Glam Witch and my latest release, Witchcraft for Daily Self-Care, all of which can be purchased anywhere that books can be sold. I'm here today to talk to you guys a little bit about one of my favorite types of magic, and that's glamour magic. Now, a lot of people get confused and think that glamour magic is really all about just the beauty and the makeup and the crazy outfits and all of that fun stuff. But truly, glamour magic is really about tapping into the magic that is deep within yourself and projecting that outward for other people to see. It's also a use of being able to be of service to the community as well by visually being an act of inspiration. By showcasing your art of witch, if you will. And it's also very common with self-care. I definitely branch the two together because self-care really helps you to nurture your inner self, get really, really comfortable with it. And once you're really humming that self-care vibe, you can tap more into your personal empowerment and put that out there for everyone to see in the world. So, let's talk a little bit about different ways that you can practice glamour magic. One of the best ways is by dressing every day with intention. And one of the best ways to do that is looking at color. If you have been practicing witchcraft for a small period of time or you've been doing it for years, you know that color has a lot of power to it. It's not only magical, but there is psychological connections to color. And if you want to, for example, bring more love into your life, wear a lot of reds and pinks because that's what that color represents. If you want to bring more money into your life, greens, golds, things that replicate finances and money would be a really, really good color scheme to work with. So that's definitely one simple way to really kind of connect with your glamour magic. You can also, of course, enchant and charge your clothing, whether that is by setting it out in a windowsill to charge with lunar light, or using an incense stick and tracing a pentagram over it with the smoke as you get dressed in the morning. But aside from clothing, we also have makeup, and not just makeup, but moisturizers and any type of beauty regime that you kind of do for your face or your body or hygiene. And something that you can do is kind of create sigils or use different symbols that you can paint on yourself, whether it's through your moisturizer, your facial cleanser, your makeup, any of those things to literally imbue the symbol into you, paint it into your skin. And that's definitely one way you can connect to glamour magic. There's also baths, magical baths. I'm a big fan of magical baths because I always think that we can be, we are one ingredient in the cauldron of our creation at that point. And a lot of times spiritual baths are used to remove negative energy and draw that out of you. But to me, a glamorous bath is using different herbs or fresh flower petals, crystals, nice pink candles or white candles or something that really reflects light and beauty as a candle in your space to absorb all of those really, really powerful, potent things to assist in your glamour that you're trying to put out there into the world. And we also have mirrors. Now, mirrors are a big one because we look in a mirror every day. Whether you're walking to work, you'll probably see your reflection at some point. You wake up in the morning, it's the very first thing you see is your reflection. And too many of us look at our reflection and the first thing we think is, oh, I don't like that. I don't like how that looks. I'm not into that. Or I feel so gross today or something like that. And when you do that, you're really like projecting that energy out into the world. Remember, mirrors amplify things. They are a magical tool. And if you are connected to magic and you're using your intent on a regular basis, any small detail of your intent can kind of get taken and run with in a magical way. So I always recommend that when we're working with glamour magic, if that's something that you want to do, is really get into mirror magic and saying affirmations in front of the mirror and focusing really on what you do like about yourself. Not necessarily just your appearance, but just the beauty of what it is that you can put out there into the world. And you can do that by staring into your reflection, touching into the mirror, visualizing your energy coming out of you and into your reflection and then circling back into you so that it highlights your space. You can also carry what I always call a Glam Witch on the go item, which would be a compact enchant, a small mirror that you can use and only show your reflection to. Don't let anybody else's reflection get into it, to help you kind of connect to, again, your beauty and your most powerful moments. And again, you can even open up that compact and have it charged under the night of a full moon. You can put certain oils or anything like that on it too to kind of help amplify that's getting caught into the reflection. And another big part of glamour magic to me is all about creating a persona. And that's a lot of visualization. We hear that term in witchcraft a lot, where we focus on a mental picture of what it is in our mind that we think. So when you're creating your persona, it's kind of like you're wearing this energetic clothing of someone else. And that's one way to kind of magically shapeshift. Glamour is a form of shapeshifting. It's not always about attracting things to you, but it's also about repelling things. For example, wearing something that's nice and sequency and shimmery like this, it's not only attractive, right, because it catches the eye, but it's reflective, so it pushes negative energy away. So that's definitely one thing to consider when you're working with different clothing for glamour. But again, getting back into the personas, I say we see that meme that goes around once a year that's like, pick your 3 favorite witch characters, or just characters from TV shows that you think kind of really represent who you are. So take those, look at those, and think about why. Why do you like these individuals or celebrities? Or even if you're just not really into anybody, you can even do it with tarot cards. What are the archetypes that you're really, really interested in? And then kind of focus on, what about those archetypes do you actually currently have? And what are some key parts that you don't have yet? And at that point, you can start to dress up as these characters, get into the mood of them, act out their way of being, and eventually that's going to come, it's going to connect into your just magical well-being, and that will become your energetic, glamorous persona. And when you're using that, you always have to keep it in your head. You always have to visualize that you are this character. And as you do that, you visualize also that other people are seeing it. And that's another way to work with glamour magic. So thank you for this small little spot on some few glamour magic tips and tricks. You can catch me on any of my social medias. Connect through my website, www.theglamwitch.com, which will take you to all of my different books, my blogs, as well as, again, my social media pages. I'm most active on Instagram, so if you want to find me there, I'm at the.glam.witch. And I look forward to seeing you all soon, interacting with you. I'm also on Witch With TV. I do a weekly glamour segment called Glam Friday, so if you want more tips and tricks on how to be glamorous or tap into the magic of you, check us out there. So have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon.
Hi folks, this is Matthew from Spiritus Arcanum. Really thrilled to be able to chat with you a bit, and I would love to talk today about some of the questions that I tend to get most frequently about my products. So first, a little bit of an introduction. Again, my name is Matthew Venus. I am the owner and operator of Spiritus Arcanum. We are an online occult wares shop. We also sell jewelry, custom-made objects. I do specialty readings and things like that as well. But some of the things that I'm most well known for are my handcrafted incenses and oils. So for instance, this is one of my oils and this is one of my incenses. And so today I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about my process in making those, as well as some of the ways that they can be utilized, because that's one of the more common questions I get is, what are some of the ways that we can work with these? So firstly, let's start with the process. All of my incenses and oils are all handcrafted from all natural botanical ingredients. I don't use any fragrance oils or any synthetic materials whatsoever in the blends. They're all handcrafted to traditional specifications, as well as during auspicious times, and then they are further consecrated and prayed over before they are given to the customers. With our oils, we use some traditional formulas. This is our Come To Me oil here. This is an example of an attraction oil. So some of the things that you'll notice with our oils is that they all have botanical ingredients right there in the bottle. They're also blended with various essential oils as well. And there's other materials as well in some of these bottles. So for instance, our attraction oil here has in it a lodestone. Lodestone basically being a natural magnet. So you can see kind of the importance of that there, or the symbology of that, with the magnet being a part of that attraction, a part of that drawing magic, right? We also have the money drawing oil here. For instance, you can see that there's actually shredded money in there, as well as pyrite, which is also known as fool's gold and is traditionally used in money drawing magic as well. So all of the oils are basically handcrafted with a lot of traditional materials. A lot of love, a lot of heart, a lot of energy goes into making the oils, as well as our incenses. Now, our incenses come in vials like this usually, and you'll see in here it's all natural botanical ingredients as well. It's all herbs, resins, woods, spices, all sorts of wonderful and delicious things. For instance, this is our Fire of the Phoenix incense here. So what I'm going to talk about today basically is some uses for the oils, as well as how you can go about burning the incenses, because this isn't like a normal stick incense. This is a charcoal incense, so you would burn this on a charcoal. As far as the oils, though, let's start there. Our oils, of course, are the type of thing that if it feels appropriate in the working that you're doing, could be worn. Our oils can also be used to dress candles. Let's take a look really quickly at what it looks like to dress a candle. I'm going to show you a really simplistic method of doing that right now. Now, one of the first things you're going to want, of course, is a candle. In this case, I've chosen an orange candle, but of course, you can use a white candle for just about anything. The reason I chose orange is because it's associated with the planet Mercury, which has to do with movement and roads, and in this case, we're doing a road opener candle. So we're going to start by cleansing the candle, and I'm using Florida water here. This is my own blend of Florida water, basically meaning flower water. Florida water is actually an early American eau de cologne that has been utilized and worked into spiritual practices throughout the world. We're doing this to spiritually cleanse the candle, to get off any kind of actual physical dust and things like that, but also any spiritual attachments that might be on it. Next, we're going to basically take a stylus. Anything sharp will work for this. You could use a nail, and I'm essentially going to be carving my name into the candle. You could also carve things like your birth date, your zodiac sign, anything like that. Personal identifiers, things that are going to align this candle to you, and know that this working is being done for you. Cleaning off some of the wax from the candle, and I flip it over, and now I'm going to basically carve into this my desire, what it is I'm trying to draw towards myself, or in some cases, it's what you're trying to banish away from yourself. In this case, it's a road opener candle, so for the sense of demonstration, I'm just writing in road opener. We're going to wipe off any excess wax from that, and then next is where the oil comes in. This process is known as dressing a candle, and basically what we're going to do is we're going to align this candle further towards its purpose by applying an appropriate oil that has already been magically empowered and has appropriate ingredients towards the working that we're trying to do. I take a bit of oil and put it on my hands, and I basically am going to be going from the center and putting that oil on outwards, so from the center outwards. The reason I'm doing that in this case is it's about removing obstacles, pushing things away from us when it comes to the road opener. So anytime you're doing a banishing or a protection, this is how you would do it, is take it from the middle and do it outwards. Now, conversely, if you're trying to draw things towards you, if you're trying to attract them to you, you would go from the tip to the center and then flip and go from the bottom to the center, bringing things into the center. It's kind of appropriate to do both on this candle for a road opener because it's firstly about removing the obstacles and secondly about drawing the things towards you that you would like to have drawn to you. Okay, so now that we have the candle thoroughly dressed in oil, we're going to place it into a candle holder and we will light it, along with prayer, along with intention. Now, for me, I think it's really important that we pray for our goal, that we pray towards what we'd like to manifest into our lives. And I think it's wonderful if we can speak this out loud as the candle burns. Sometimes people will burn candles over several days. And as you do this over several days, you can pray each day when you light the candle to bring what it is that you desire towards you or to keep things that you're trying to keep away from you. But you can allow the candle to burn all the way down while focusing upon your intentions and your prayers in order to further manifest them into your life. Now, some of the other ways that you might choose to utilize some of the oils that we sell is oils like this could also be added a bit to a bath. You could also actually even add them to your mop water when you're mopping the house, and then that way you're kind of infusing the home with some of that magic. Just a little bit of this will do quite well for you in those circumstances. Another way that I like to utilize them, the candle working that we just showed you, another way that you can kind of further focus that is you take like a square piece of paper, and on that piece of paper you write out your intention, you write out your desire, you write out what it is that you would like to bring to you. Then you would take a bit of this oil, but just put a little dab of it on your fingertip, and you would do dot, 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 dot in the four corners, and then one more dot of oil right in the center. And that way you're making kind of a crossroads type of a situation there. You take that piece of paper and you put that under the candle as the candle burns to further kind of focus it towards what your specific desire, what your specific intention is for the working. You could then take that piece of paper afterwards and carry it in your wallet, carry it in your purse if you'd like. If it's something that you're trying to get rid of or something you're trying to banish, you could always take it and actually just throw it in the trash, or take it to a crossroads and leave the paper there. It could also be something that if you wanted to banish it, you could take that piece of paper and right as that candle is getting ready to go out, while there's still a flame on it, light that on fire and let that burn away. So those are some of the ideas that you could work with the oils. Of course, also you can use them for dressing, like amulets, talismans. You could also just even put a little bit onto a cotton ball or something and carry that in a handbag or purse. So there's a lot of different options for the ways that we can work with the oils. Now, for the incenses are wonderful for creating ritual space. You can also utilize an incense to pass pieces of jewelry through to consecrate them as amulets or talismans. You could use them for different holidays. You can also just use them to kind of use the incense in the space to kind of bring that energy into the space, right? Or to pass things through it. Those are some of the main ways that you would utilize it. However, if you're only used to doing stick incense, you might not be familiar with the ways that we go about burning incense on charcoal. The reason that we're going to burn this incense on a charcoal is because this is all natural. There's nothing added to it to make it burn faster or hotter. Sometimes incenses add things like saltpeter or other types of kind of things to make them more flammable, to make them more burnable. When you're creating a natural blend like this, there's nothing specifically added to that to help in that process. So what we do is we actually take a little charcoal, which I'll show you in a moment, and that little charcoal is lit and we put the raw natural incense on it. This is really one of the primary ways that people have been burning incense since ancient times. So when you burn incense in this way, it truly becomes a ritual. It becomes kind of a sacred ceremony in which you are kind of burning these fragrant resins, burning these fragrant woods, all of these natural ingredients, and bringing forth their energy, bringing forth their power and their blessings into your space as you burn them. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Okay, so to begin, you're going to want to have a heat-proof container. Now, this could be something that is ceramic or stone. You're, of course, also going to want to have an incense that is made to be burned on charcoals. So when I say heat-proof, it could be ceramic, it could be metal. But one of the things we're going to do is we're going to add sand to this. And the reason that we're adding sand is because the sand helps absorb heat from the charcoal we're going to be burning in this. Otherwise, this ceramic container could get so hot that it might crack, or if it was a metal container, it would just absolutely heat up way hotter than you want it to and potentially scorch whatever surface is below it, right? So by adding this heat, or adding this sand, it helps diffuse the heat. Next, we're going to add the charcoal. You saw that was a bit of Swift Light charcoal. That is something that I carry on the website, but you can also find in other places. We're going to hold it with some tongs, and we're going to light that charcoal. Now, I'm using a butane lighter here just because it's a lot faster, but you can certainly use just a normal lighter for this process as well. It just takes a little bit longer. You'll see when you light the charcoal, it sparks up a bit. That's totally normal. The charcoals are made with a bit of that saltpeter I mentioned earlier to help get them going. So you can see right now it's starting to get kind of nice and red. We're going to put that down onto the sand and let it sit for a few moments. I usually like to let it sit for at least 2 or 3 minutes, and you can see it starts to get of this bit of this kind of gray ash layer on top of it. That's when it's going to be pretty good for you to add the incense to. So we're going to use one of our incenses. This is Suffumigan of Spirits Feast. It's actually made for calling forth and feeding basically spirits, whether they be ancestral spirits, and drawing in good, helping positive forces into our life. You do not need much of the incense when you do this. You can see see there's just a tiny bit there. And we're going to sprinkle it onto the charcoal. The charcoal is kind of shaped like a dish specifically for this purpose. And when we sprinkle it on, the heat from the charcoal is going to warm up the resins and the woods and allow just a nice amount of smoke to come from that. Again, like I said, a little bit goes a long way. You don't want to totally smoke out your house. But there you have it, folks. Quite simple. This is an excellent way to kind of add another layer to your magic and to your practice. Well, I hope that this has been kind of informative and given you a little bit of insight into some of my process and some of my products as well. But I hope that you have a wonderful moon serpent and bone. Please check out right here. I'm going to have all of my shop information available for you. I am also having a 10% off sale right now. So there's a code right here that we will also be able to have available to you that you can get 10% off in the shop. And lastly, if you find this interesting and you'd like to learn more, or you're interested in kind of exploring the realm of magic and spell work, I highly recommend checking out the classes section on my website. If you go to my website and check out the top middle area where it says Spiritus Arcanum, there's a drop down and you'll see a thing that says classes and workshops. And I have a lot of different classes available. So if you're interested in taking classes, feel free and check those out. They're pre-recorded and I have them on a variety of subjects and topics for you all. So thank you so much. Many blessings to all of you. And I hope that you have a very wonderful market. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hi everyone, good evening. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you are all enjoying the market so far. My name is Tracy and I am the proprietress of Owl and Bone Tarot Card Readings. Tonight I thought I would talk about shadow work and the tarot and how the tarot can be a wonderful tool for doing shadow work. But first, I will tell you a little bit about myself. I am a lifelong eclectic witch, a bit of a hedge witch, one might say, a tarot reader, of course, and a shadow worker. Now, I have been reading and studying the tarot for quite some time. I think a little over 20 years now. But Owl and Bone was only born a couple of years ago. The tarot is my passion, and it has been so instrumental in my own personal spiritual journey of growth and development and healing. And I really felt called to share that with others. And so Owl and Bone was born. Okay, so my specialty is shadow work. And what is shadow? What is shadow work? Our shadow is basically this. It's the darker aspects of our personalities, or the darker aspects of ourselves, like our fears, our insecurities, our unresolved traumas, and how these issues can manifest themselves in our lives in troublesome ways, like our addictions, our mental illness, our negative patterns of thought and behavior, etc., etc. So shadow work is basically just addressing these issues so that we can confront them and resolve them and ultimately heal from them. Now, as far as the tarot and shadow, the tarot, as far as I'm concerned, is basically just like a mirror. It reflects back to us our internal and external world, and it also acts basically like a prompt that can bring us clarity and understanding and help guide us. Now, as a shadow worker and a tarot reader, I basically am there to just facilitate this process and interpret the cards as they relate to your particular situation, your particular circumstance. As far as my style, I am definitely more of a therapeutic style reader as opposed to a predictive reader. Now, that's not to say that sometimes more predictive messages don't come through. They certainly do, and I honor that. with the understanding that, you know, our futures are not set in stone. We are the creators of our future. We are the authors of our stories, the painters of our pictures. So with that understanding, of course. But I tend to believe that the tarot is more useful as a therapeutic tool for spiritual growth and development. Especially when it comes to shadow work. There are many ways of doing shadow work: journaling, meditation, therapy, but the tarot, I think, is a particularly useful tool. So, you know, like I said, sometimes my style is kind of more freestyle when it comes to doing shadow reading. Sometimes my style is more freestyle. Sometimes I design a special spread, but it ultimately just depends on the client and their particular need and their particular circumstance. So I will stop boring you now, and we can move on to the fun part, and I will do a shadow reading for you. So because obviously there are going to be multiple people watching this, the way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to do a pick a card reading. So I'm going to lay out 3 cards, and I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and take a deep breath, and then open your eyes and intuitively choose card 1, card 2, or card 3. And then whatever card you choose, that will be your message. Or you can also, and I would really encourage you to do this, you can also listen to all 3, because there may be a message in one of the other cards for you. I believe that if a message is meant to find you, it will. So you can intuitively choose a card and just focus on that message, or you can listen to all 3. Either way. So without further ado, I'm going to turn my camera down to the cards, and let's do a shadow read. Okay, so here we have our 3 cards. We have card 1, which is the celestite. We have card 2, which is the amethyst. And we have card 3, which is the rose quartz. So now just close your eyes, take a deep breath, and when you open your eyes, you can intuitively choose which card, 1, 2, or 3. If you need, take a moment to pause the video. Okay, but we will go ahead and get started. So if you chose card 1, the celestite, this is your message. Okay, so we have the Queen of Pentacles. Okay, so the Queen of Pentacles is a card that is about security and abundance. But when it comes up in a shadow reading, this card can be about somebody who is perhaps like a workaholic, or maybe a hoarder, or maybe even someone who has issues with jealousy or greed or insecurity or anything like that. But basically what this card boils down to in a shadow reading is lack mentality. Now, lack mentality is essentially just like the underlying belief that you don't have enough, or you'll never have enough, or perhaps even that you are not enough, like low self-worth type of thing. It can be very fear-based, and it can also ironically when we have a lack mentality, it can keep us in a cycle of lack, like focusing on lack. We actually, when we focus on something, we actually end up creating more of it. So it can become very much like a cycle. Now, it can hold us back a great deal. It can create limiting beliefs about what we deserve, how deserving we are. Now, I have found that this usually stems, as many shadows do, they stem from childhood. They don't have to, but they often do. And it can come from perhaps we, growing up, there were issues surrounding money or financial issues. And so it can come from a situation like that. But it can also be adopted from caregivers who have this mentality. And sometimes, that voice, it's not even our own. It can be the voice of, somebody prominent in our lives growing up. So, ultimately, when it comes to, healing or resolving a lack mentality, it's about reframing our thoughts in a way so that we are, instead of focusing on what we don't have, we're focusing on what it is that we do have. And it's also in, when these thoughts come up, reminding ourselves that we are deserving and we are worthy, and also reframing our thoughts towards positive outcomes, like as opposed to, always waiting for the other shoe to drop, so to speak. Okay. So that is card 1. We're going to move on to card 2. So if you chose card 2, the Amethyst, this is your message. Okay, we have the Six of Wands. All right. So the Six of Wands is a card that is about success and achievement. But in shadow, this can come up in a person as perfectionism, egoism. It can be someone who is maybe overly competitive or like overly driven. Now, this pretty much always comes from, again, childhood, and we perhaps grew up, with caregivers where our worth was based on our achievement or our abilities or perhaps even our looks. Now, as children, we're very eager to please, and, we want love and we want acceptance. And this is when we perhaps learned incorrectly that, love and attention, we could get love and attention based on that. Like, love and attention was conditional. It can happen like if we had caregivers growing up that were narcissistic and, overly concerned with appearances, or caregivers who had like rigid, unrealistically high expectations of us, or caregivers that were overly critical, which can lead to heavy self-criticism, like the voice of, perhaps that overly critical parent or overly critical caregiver ends up becoming our own inner voice. And so we are driven, overly driven to succeed and achieve because, we think it's going to bring us love and care and attention. And, it's a way to gain love and acceptance, basically. And, we're driven above all else, above our own happiness or above our own mental health. And it becomes just like a very unhealthy thing. And, again, similar to the queen, the previous card, this is about our self-worth. And it's about learning that our value as people is not just about our success or our status or our follower count or how much money we have or what kind of car we drive, but the way to deal with this is first of all practicing self-compassion, and also focusing on progress, not perfection. That is actually a mantra that is very common in 12-step programs. Progress, not perfection. yeah, I think that's it with that one. So we're okay. Let's move on to card number 3. So if you chose card number 3, the rose quartz, this is your message. Okay, we have the Empress. This is a big one. So the Empress is a major arcana. Major arcana cards always carry heavier weight. The Empress. So this particular card was actually very big for me in my own shadow work and healing. So the Empress, she's the mother of the tarot. She is the archetype of mother. This card is about fertility and mother figures and nurturing, and it's about the divine feminine. And when the Empress comes up in a shadow read, it is almost always about a mother wound. Now, a mother wound can be several different things. A mother wound can be the loss of a mother. And again, this can stem back to childhood usually. It could be the loss of a mother from, death. It can be an absent mother, abandonment. It can be an abusive mother, or just a, tumultuous relationship with our mother, or perhaps our mothers were like the caregivers described in the previous card, right? Perhaps our mothers were like that. But whatever the case, right, wherever the mother wound comes from, number one, it can usually cause a void, feelings of a void, feelings of emptiness that, as we grow and mature, we have a void within us that we're always trying to fill. And often the tendency is to fill it with unhealthy things and unhealthy behaviors, drugs, sex, food, whatever the case may be. We find everything to fill it up except, what we need. Now, another way that it can manifest itself is, issues with repressed anger and repressed fear. Anger, especially in terms of mother wounds where perhaps we were abandoned. So when that comes up, that is going to involve forgiveness work, okay? Issues of safety, right? Our mothers are our, that's where we get our initial feeling of like safety and security. Usually our mothers are our primary caregivers. And if we lose that, or that relationship is compromised in any way, so are our most primal sense of safety and security. So in that case, I often recommend root chakra work, actually. Can be really, really helpful. But ultimately, again, whatever the cause of the mother wound, the main part of the work in dealing with that is learning to mother ourselves, or I should say essentially remothering ourselves and going back to do inner child healing work, where we mother our inner child in a way, being the mother that we needed, but perhaps didn't have for whatever reason. So that is kind of, the work, the work when it comes to that. Okay, so I think we're going to leave the reading there. I am going to pop the camera back up for a quick sec, so just hang on. Okay, guys, so I hope that was helpful in some way, or that the messages resonated for you in some way. I just wanted to mention that, this being just a few cards, when you do like a full personal shadow reading with me, it typically lasts anywhere between 1 to 2 hours. And it's typically more than one is recommended. But a full personal read can provide a great deal of depth and a great deal of insight. Yeah. So that being said, though, shadow work is so deeply intimate, and it is my absolute honor and privilege to be able to shepherd my clients through this deeply, deeply transformational work. So If you're ever interested in booking a shadow reading with me or any type of reading, I offer many different kinds of readings. You can get more information about that, and you can book a reading directly on my website, which is owlandbone.net. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram, where I have lots of great tarot content. And on Instagram, every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m., I do live tarot readings, and it's totally free. You can just come, hang out, put a question in the comments, and I pull cards and do little mini readings. So you are welcome to come and check that out if you would like. And what else? Next month, in June, I will be at the Moon, Serpent, and Bone, the first in-person market since COVID started. It's at Locust Grove in Poughkeepsie. I'm super, super excited. So if you're local and planning on attending next month's in-person market, please come and see me. I would love to meet some of you. And yeah, I guess that's it. So thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. All right, bye.